Former Attorney General picks apart the bitter fruit of the special counsel's beginning by US4Trump.com. Earlier today, former Attorney General Judge Michael McCasey joins Maria Bartiromo on Sunday Morning Futures and weighed in on how the Mueller investigation got started. Judge McCasey served as Attorney General under George W. Bush, and he discussed how the special counsel started in a flawed way. The bitter fruit of this investigation was launched initially in a flawed way, Judge McCasey lays down the key components of why the special counsel is operating potentially in an unlawful manner. And the only way to define the special counsel is operating fairly is by seeing the original memo, which has been released to no one in an unredacted format. Judge T.S. Ellis in the Manafort case is asked to see the memo. Additionally, Judge Ellis has given the Mueller team 2 weeks to produce the memo. Recently, Judge Dabney Frederick also asked to see it. Click to read more here. We're going to listen to the interview. Let's take a listen here. The former Attorney General continues and tells Maria during the interview, under those circumstances, that the Attorney General or whoever is acting for him in this case, the deputy, Rod Rosenstein, is obligated to do it. Right? There you have it. Let's take a listen. Controversy surrounding the Russia probe there.
Welcome back. The newest addition to President Trump's legal team is now calling for an end to special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Attorney and former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani saying Attorney General Jeff Sessions should close the probe. This coming amid pressure from Republicans urging the Justice Department to release the full scope memo, which outlines the initial extent of the investigation. Joining me right now is Judge Michael McCasey. He is former U.S. Attorney General under President George W. Bush. Judge, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for weighing in here.
Good to be here.
Really wanting to get your insights here because there are so many moving parts. First off, a turning point perhaps on Friday night when we heard from the district judge pushing back on special counsel Robert Mueller. Tell us what we heard on Friday and what it means.
I think what we heard on Friday is the fruit of the rather bitter fruit of the fact that this investigation was launched initially in a flawed way. The regulations require that in order to have a special counsel, there has to be a finding that there is a criminal case to be investigated, criminal case it's got to be, and that there is a conflict, some good reason, a conflict or other good reason why the Justice Department can't do it. And under those circumstances, what the Attorney General or whoever's acting for him, in this case the deputy, is obligated to do is to tell the special counsel what the crime is and to put forth a specific set of facts. The memo that was originally drafted appointing Robert Mueller says that you are to follow up questions of Russian involvement in the election as testified to by James Comey on a particular date before the House Intelligence Subcommittee. Mm-hmm. What he testified to was not a criminal investigation. It was a counterintelligence investigation. So right from the get-go, to say that you're authorized to pursue that investigation is flawed. Mm-hmm. Apparently, Rod Rosenstein realized that at some point later in the game and changed the memo, put in an additional memo supposedly specifying what was being investigated and what the crime was. But we haven't been allowed to see that.
Why not? I mean, if the mandate is expanded in terms of what Mueller should be pursuing, we all should understand that because we keep calling it this Russia probe.
Right. Well, maybe it is a Russia probe, but the point is, what's the crime and what is the specific set of facts? And when the government was asked about that before Judge Ellis, what the response was, oh, this is much too classified for us to disclose in open court. Essentially, what they're telling the judge is, don't worry your pretty little head about it. And judges, whether they're men or women, don't like to hear that.
Right. And this is T.S. Ellis for the first time, a pushback against this investigation that's gone so far afield.
I think that the judge would be very much within his rights in saying, look, you come back in a week and you bring either the letter or the memo that expands the special counsel's mandate, or you bring your toothbrush.
You know what, Judge, stay with us. I want to ask you about these questions that were leaked that Robert Mueller wants to ask the president. We're going to get into that more with Judge Michael Mukasey when we come right back as we look ahead on Sunday Morning Future. Stay right there. And we are back with former Attorney General Michael Mukasey. And Judge, I want to talk to you and get your take on these questions that were leaked. These are the questions that Robert Mueller apparently wants to ask Trump about obstruction and what it means. Some of the questions are things like, what was your reaction to news reports of January 12th? What did you know about Sally Yates meetings with Mr. Flynn? And then there's one question about an interview that I did with the president. And the question is, what was the purpose of your April 11, 2017 statement to Maria Bartiromo? And that statement is on the screen. Basically, it's me talking with the president about Jim Comey after he was fired for breaking the Justice Department policy. Here's a clip from my interview with the president.
Director
Well, that's what I'm asking. Why is he still
No, I'm just saying, well, because I want to give everybody a good, fair chance. Director Comey was very, very good to Hillary Clinton, that I can tell you. If he weren't, she would be right now going to trial.
It's an odd clip that Robert Mueller is zeroing in on to ask the president about. What do you think about these questions and about that?
Well, if the question is intended to ask whether the president wants to suggest to the Justice Department that it start an investigation or continue an investigation of Hillary Clinton, that's not within the mandate, as I understand it, of the special counsel. A number of other of these questions are not within the mandate of the special counsel, or they tend toward determining whether the president had a quote-unquote corrupt motive in firing Jim Comey, which, if we were talking about obstruction, could conceivably make an obstruction case, but we're not, number one. And number two, if we were, the president can't be indicted.
So once again, these questions indicate how far afield this investigation has gone. First, we were talking about collusion. Then we were talking about obstruction. Now we're talking about payments to Stormy Daniels.
Which, of course, have nothing to do with whether the Russians interfered with the 2016 election. That was supposed to be the focus of the investigation. That was supposed to be the reason why Jeff Sessions recused himself, because he worked on the campaign, and if it was an investigation of the campaign, there is a regulation that says that you can't participate in an investigation of a campaign in which you participated.
Right.
Very simple. So he was justified in doing that, if that was the focus of the special counsel's investigation. But we don't know to this day what the actual focus is, because we haven't seen that memo.
So are we going to be able to see that scope memo now that we know that Rosenstein actually did expand the mandate for which Robert Mueller is supposed to pursue?
I don't know whether he expanded it or contracted it. He, in any event, defined it, and we should see the memo. Whether we're going to be able to or not, I guess, depends on how robust our system is. If it's robust, we'll see it.
What's your take on where this is going? I mean, these are extraordinary times, Judge. You've got the Robert Mueller investigation that's going all over the place, and then you've got an investigation into the handling of the 2016 election by the FBI and the Department of Justice. On that score, we're waiting for this IG report, which is forthcoming next couple of weeks. Do you think we'll see justice?
I hope that what we will see is the justice that the facts justify, and that people will stop dealing with things for reasons having nothing to do with the facts, the way, for example, Jim Comey did, because he had some higher some higher loyalty in mind, but rather because of what the facts and the law require. If we get that kind of reaction to the IG report, to this memo of the Deputy Attorney General, then we'll be fine. It depends on how healthy our institutions are.
Well, we see that Lisa Page has resigned, attorney at the FBI and the Department of Justice, and we see that Mr. Baker has also. Is this a coincidence that the IG report is coming out and we're seeing more resignations?
I don't know whether it's a coincidence or not. I guess we'll find it out when we read the report, and even at that point, we'll be speculating.
What have you?
I worry less about why they resigned than I do about what we do with what's in the report, and particularly what we do to define, specify, and explain the mandate of a special counsel who is, whether he's doing the Lord's work or the devil's work, is interfering with the functioning of the presidency. Is that justified? We won't know that until we see that memo.
It is pretty extraordinary that all of this, Jim Comey is on a book tour.
Yes, well, Jim Comey is another case. I would suggest that you read his book, I don't want to say with a grain of salt, but certainly with a bottle of Pepto-Bismol.
Because?
Because it is cringe-inducing on every page. He is self-laudatory. There's no story he tells of which he isn't the hero. And you can't really reach for a character. People suggested that he's like Inspector Javert in Les Miserables. He's worse than that. He's a combination of false humility, false piety, and false courage.
He can't even say that that he leaked, when we know that when he gave his memos to his friend, who then we learned worked for the FBI, he actually leaked them with an intent to get a special counsel in place.
Correct.
It's pretty extraordinary. Judge, it's great to see you.
Take care.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate.
Well, this judge laid it all down. Absolutely. What are they going to show? They've got nothing to show. The whole thing is a sham. Mueller is going to be the laughing stock along with Comey, and I say prosecute them after. Prosecute these people for trying to usurp the election. That's what I say after that. After this sham is over, go after them full force for this obstruction of the election process that they were saying that Trump didn't win and he colluded with the Russians. Go after them. That's all I say. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.